Welcome to the True Wealth Project, where we talk business, real estate, and lifestyle on your way to building a wealthy life for generations to come. I'm your host, Sam Khairi, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, everybody, this is Sam Khairi with another episode of the True Wealth Project. I'm excited to have our guests today. I'm starting to do kind of multiple guests on at once, just because I feel like it's good to get some perspective on the journeys and where everybody's at with their careers. But I'm super excited for today's podcast. It's going to be one of the first ones that I've got some folks that are younger in their careers. I mean, I don't want to say younger as an age, but definitely younger in their careers, but also younger in age as well, which is, a lot of us in real estate or just investing in general, we always look for, what we look at, what if I'd started earlier? What if this? And just, the list goes on. But today I've got people that are actually doing it, and I can't wait to dig into this and just hear their stories and see what we can learn. I'm always intrigued as to what the next generation is doing and how they're making a difference. So, welcome, Davi and Will. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Sam. It's great to be
Yeah.
here. I met Sam at a real estate meetup in San Francisco, and you mentioned that you were syndicated 500 apartments at the time, and I was starstruck. At the time, I was working a corporate job that I hated, and Sam's been a mentor to me and was a big part of me ripping off the Band-Aid and jumping into entrepreneurship full time. So I'm really grateful, and I'm excited to talk about that today. In terms of entrepreneurship, I'm scaling a physician coaching practice. So it's a cash flow generating business. We sell services. We help physicians that are burned out. We help them find joy and get their lives back. And then we help physicians that are transitioning to leadership build those skills. And so that's what we do. We've got one head coach who's my mom, and then we have 6 coaches that we've hired in the past year. So we're scaling really rapidly and then parking the cash flow from that into real estate. And so excited to talk about wealth building, about real estate, entrepreneurship,
Amazing.
and anything else we can
Amazing.
cover.
I love that. I know you and I had a conversation briefly before this about just what some of the things that you are able to do with, everything you do outside of real estate, but then ultimately kind of ends up in real estate at some point, as a great way to kind of build that wealth. But Will, if you don't mind, kind of giving us a couple of minutes of, how you got to where you are today, what do you do? And we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Davi and I met in college, and that's my connection to Sam here now. But my journey with entrepreneurship is that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and when I graduated college, I had a job as a project manager for a payment processing company, and it was just kind of like a starter, get out of college job, don't move back home job, be able to support myself. But I was always interested in, starting my own business and my own organization. So my thought process was I can either build my own company around a product or service, but there wasn't a product that I was super passionate about. And coming out of college, quite honestly, I didn't feel like I had any real skills to sell a service around. So I was looking into what to build a business around, and I fell into real estate and I got really invested in it. I started reading a lot of books on it, started watching a lot of podcasts. Really, the site Bigger Pockets, which I don't know if you've heard of, Sam, but it's a big
Absolutely.
entrepreneurship real estate
Big time.
network. Yeah, they really put me onto real estate. So once I became really invested in it, I decided the best way to learn how to do this would be to get a job in it, get paid to learn how to do it. So I joined an entry level role at a company called Monarch Investment and Management, which is an owner operator of multifamily around the United States. We own around 300 apartment and townhome complexes around the US. And I'm on an asset management team there now. So I'm working in the multifamily business right now. And I'm at the very, very beginning of my own personal multifamily portfolio with the purchase of my first duplex the past 2 months ago. March 3rd, I closed. So started off.
Congratulations.
Let's
That's,
go.
that's
Yeah,
amazing. Awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah, so I heard a stat not long ago where I think the average American owns like 1.5 units into their name. So like if you take like all investment properties and like you divide it up by, number of people, I guess, right? It's like it's pretty low, right? So it's like for people that have like two, three, four, 5 units, it's like that's a big deal. That's more than what most people in our country have, right? So I'm glad you were able to do that. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a process, absolutely.
Yeah. Dude, so I feel like I want to kind of pivot this conversation from what I've done in the past. I mean, it's been very real estate heavy, which I do want to get into. But if we can kind of start with that entrepreneurial like kind of mindset, right? You guys both, whether grew up into it or grew up in it, or Will, you mentioned you always wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? I mean, what what in that world interests you? What in that world intrigues you to just like, I'm gonna wake up in the morning, I'm super excited to go do this, and like that's me, right? I mean, how did you come about doing that, and like what excites you about it? Davi, you want to give us a shot here?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll juxtapose what I love about entrepreneurship with what I didn't like about being in a really hierarchical big corporation. And it's that, I love that part of being an entrepreneur is making your decisions and executing on them yourself and actually being able to make those decisions. So there were a lot of times, I mean, I worked in a Fortune 15 company, the biggest payments company ever. And there's a certain way that things are done. And if I come in as a 24-year-old, a 25-year-old, and I've got an idea and I say, hey, we're selling into banks of this size in this way, but what we really should be doing is getting in there and giving them a demo because this is a new
That's
product
right.
and this, there's no way that I'm going to be able to shape a whole sales process. And on the flip side, in my family business, if I say that we should be, demoing our coaching by going into big conferences and giving physicians free coaching settings, then we can give 20 free coaching sessions next week and we close a third of
That's
them, that's six
immediate.
new
That's
clients,
right.
12,000 pop, we just made 70 grand. So I can see the impact of the decisions I make that day, that week, that month, which is really, really gratifying for me. And for me, it helps me actually work really hard because in corporate America, I'm getting paid the exact same amount, whether I kill it or not. But I love that in my family business, if I really, really get after it and do a great job by our clients, we're going to be rewarded.
Dude, that's amazing. I feel like it's I mean you hit the nail on the head, right? It's that immediate impact, whether it's good or bad, right? I mean, it could really go south, or when it does go well, it could go really well, right? So that immediate impact of your may not be linear, right? Based on your efforts and your outcome, but I mean it's you see the results, right? I mean, you can see
Yeah.
that whether it's this week, next week, or a month from now, you're gonna see those results, and you know exactly where that came from, which is amazing to see. I love that. I love to hear that. Will, if you don't mind, I mean, your side, you said you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. How did that come about?
Yeah. I mean, I think my internal drive to be an entrepreneur stems from my parents. Both my parents are entrepreneurs. They own a law firm together, and it's the environment that I was raised in. So seeing that every day, seeing my parents be the leaders of an organization, it's hard to imagine myself in a role differently. But I think that what Davi said about impact is really important to me too. Being the decision maker and being able to have the freedom to create an organization that is going to impact the world in a way that I want to change the world is something that's important to me. I mean, right now I'm focused in multifamily because I think that it's a great jumping off point, but I think that companies around affordable real estate is really intriguing to me. Companies around renewable energy and incorporating that with real estate is really intriguing to me. And I think that I can see myself pivoting the organization that I build towards a goal that is a social impact to the earth, one day. And that's something that drives me.
That's amazing. I mean, just as we peel these layers, I mean, like you guys are 25, 26, you're already talking about kind of big vision, right? I mean, the impacting not only yourselves, families, generations, but it's also like the rest of the world, which is just incredible to hear. I think Davi was one of the first people that I met, like a younger investor type entrepreneur that I met, who was just like, I was just drawn in, right? I mean, you guys are quite the inspiration, if I may say so. But kudos to you guys. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we've got you guys. You guys are hustling, right? I mean, you guys are different business types, obviously, right? I mean, one, I would just being where I am today, I'm probably more towards multifamily and just real estate investing, obviously, right? But just what's the plan? Like, what's the plan for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years of your careers, right? I mean, it sounds like you guys are even now, like you're doing well for yourselves, but it's definitely a starting point, right? You got a long ways ahead of you. Do you guys have a plan or a vision as to where you want to go next?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, transitioning the family business from a solopreneur, my mom working really hard, to a scalable, exitable, cash flowing machine. And then, like, I really like the concept of having one business that makes the cash and one business that keeps the cash. So, like, I'm really interested in pursuing Airbnb in the future. I'm excited to learn from what Will's going through, to learn about what you're doing and some of your projects. But for me, like, if I can get to a place where the family business is relatively running itself and we're acquiring new Airbnbs every year and I'm passively making 20, 30K a month and I never have to work again and my kids don't have to work again, then it's like, okay, well, do I want to go coach high school basketball? Do I want to go get an MBA and swing for the billion instead of the
Yeah.
20 or 30 or 40 million? Do I want to go start a SaaS company? I mean, from there, like, I would love to be 31, like 5 years from now, and have this system just print every month and then I can
Yep.
do whatever I want. Um, and I'm not worried if it takes till 35 till, you know what I mean? Like, I feel
That's
good about
exactly
where
right.
I'm at. But that's the goal. It's just systematizing, getting things to a place where it's as passive as possible. And then, next
That
chapter.
that's amazing. It's you definitely have time on your side, right? It's what we kind of emphasize, start early as soon as as soon as you can. I tell everybody one of the first things that everybody asks, like, what's the biggest advice? I was like, start today, right? I don't care where you're at, but start today, because that compounding effect, it just, to your point, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be next year, right? You will never know, but just the fact that you started and you've got, goals in mind, you've got a path, you got a vision that you're kind of working towards, that's incredible, man. That's really cool to see, to see and hear. So,
Thank
um,
you.
Will, what about you? I know you're kind of starting, in a space where, I mean, I tell people, if you're looking to get into real estate, I feel like, if you're looking to get a job, right, and want and love real estate, it's like you got to do one of these things, right? You got to be either a mortgage broker or, actual broker for properties, just anything that has to do with real estate, and then kind of transition into investing. That's, to me, that makes the most sense, and looks like you're already doing it. Just tell me more about, like, what's your vision? What are you looking to do?
Yeah. Well, as far as the getting a job within real estate to learn aspect of it, I definitely think that if you can, the job to get is on the ownership side rather than the agent or broker or lender side,
Huge.
just because the owners really know everything to do with the real estate itself. But as far as my plan goes, the immediate plan is to offset my salary. I mean, I'm doing this around a 9 to 5, and
Yep.
it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. It's not that I'm not willing to work 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, but it's the time that it takes out of my day going to work every day is time that I could be putting towards my own organization and business. So, I mean, it's been crazy with this duplex and furnishing it and everything. I was, after work renting U-Hauls and going to thrift stores and going to
Love that.
Facebook Marketplace people. I mean, I really was hustling to get this place furnished and rented out. And right now the top unit is rented out, and it's a low down conventional loan. So it's owner occupied for a year, so I'm living in the bottom unit for a year. But the plan is in the next 2 to 3 years to buy. Right now, I have 2 units. I would like to be at 10 units in 2 years. And at 10 units, I feel confident that that will offset my salary enough to be able to support myself while and be able to leave the company that I'm working for right now. Hopefully, they don't see this.
I'll post it in 2 years. How's that? We'll just
Yeah,
publish
we'll
this episode in
post it
two
in a
years.
couple years. So that's definitely the immediate goal. And then after that, I would say from years 3 to 5, continued to buy multifamily, continued to become an expert in the space before at that point being comfortable to make that jump to that transition, that pivot to maybe a different business model that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's amazing. You mentioned the 2 years. I wonder if 2 years from now in 2020, what year are we in? 2025. You come back to this episode and you kind of listen to yourself and like, wait,
Yeah,
I now
hope so.
have 1,000 units as opposed to 10 units, right? It's
Yeah, I
what are your thoughts on that, right?
I agree. I think 10 is very achievable. I mean, that's achievable in one purchase. It just depends on the strategy that I'm going to pursue. I'm looking into a lot of creative finance strategies. I'm very much looking to do this, looking to learn a lot in the next 2 years. And part of the reason why I say 2 years as far as the company goes is because I still have a lot to learn from the company. I've been there for a year and I haven't the internal structure of the company is set up into different regions for the asset management team. So mine is St. Louis, so that's where I operate in and buy in. And in this past year, just with I mean, the market has been crazy. The interest rates have been rising like crazy, so it's been really tough to buy traditionally. So one thing I want to get through with my company is an actual acquisition. I've done many parts of the acquisition process for my asset management team or other asset management teams, but being the point of contact where the broker reaches out to me, I get the financials, I underwrite it, I put it in the LOI, I we close, go through all due diligence. I know that'll be really exciting for me to really go through the full process and really own it within my company for my region. So I'm excited about that. And deals are looking a little bit more possible now, which is fun. So that's the education side with the company, but I definitely agree. I think 10 units was an undersell possibly,
Yeah,
hopefully.
that's great. I mean, Davi, I know you were gonna say something, but it's like I know you've got your sights on just, sky's the limit, right? You and I have talked about this, and it's Will, to your point, it's super achievable. And, I don't want to talk about 10 units or 1,000 units or whatever, right? But it's like, that's why you guys are so unique in that you're taking that first step and you're working towards it, right? It's just like just my experience. It's always just been it just goes exponentially. At some point, it's like it's no longer linear. It just like grows exponentially, and you guys are in a really good place to be able to kind of achieve that. So kudos to you both for sure.
Appreciate that. And what you said about taking the first step, like it feels so good to take steps every day on the path you want to be on. Because when I was in my corporate job, and I don't want to like disparage that job because I learned a lot and I got exactly what I wanted out of it. And the people I worked with were brilliant, but it didn't feel like I was walking my path. So when I was working to go from associate to analyst and then analyst to manager, and from there, the people around me were really excited about those leaps and I wasn't. I didn't see a huge point, or like making 20 or 30,000 a year. Like
That's right.
it didn't get me super excited. So to your point about taking the first step, now that I'm walking on a path where I'm actually excited about where that path is going, I'm much more willing to, like Will, like you said, to put in an 80-hour week or to really grind or to take sales calls on a Saturday and a Sunday because physicians are really busy during the week. And like just you're much more willing to sacrifice when you actually care about that destination that you're working towards.
Yeah, and what Will said also and I keep saying this, but just being in the industry that you love, right? I mean, Davi, you're at your corporate job, may not have been, yeah, you were doing some cool stuff as I was, right? It's like we're helping the economy, we're helping, our clients, right? But bottom line is like, if it's not something you love and you're passionate about, or, that's your goal to get to, right? Will, I think you're in a pretty cool spot to be able to learn on the job, if you would, which you then transfer that knowledge and experience to what you're really passionate about and kind of grow your own portfolio. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Do you have any recommendations on buying strategy as far as going with a sponsor, finding people that you trust, or doing the creative route and getting debt for the down payment, things like that?
So I kind of wanted to ask you guys how you're finding this market, right? I mean, this where we're at, right? I just had a post right now about, I mean, today the Fed is, they're going to raise rates, they're not going to raise rates. We don't know, right? So it's like just looking at what we're doing as a kind of a bigger picture, right? I mean, it can't. It's like real estate itself is not a get rich quick scheme, right? That's why I'm like very passionate about like having your making that money elsewhere. People who do have the ability to do that, the high income earners who do have the ability to do that, and taking that additional monies that they have and dumping it into real estate and just watch that grow, right? I mean, that's to me, that's the business. That's real estate investing. But to your point, it's not that I don't care about what the Fed's going to do or how the rates are going, right? But there's just so many layers of real estate that you could look at it from different. You could have different business plans, right? I mean, a lot of times that what we do now is we actually offer 3-4 different models to the sellers, just to kind of start that conversation to pique their interest. Is like, hey, yeah, we're interested, right? But it may or may not be, if you want that price that you're asking for, right? Here are some of the terms that you might want to consider to get that price. And one of them, right, is seller financing. On the flip side, we'll give you a little bit less, right? But here are the different terms that you could put that. So it's literally 3-4 different types of offers within one offer, right? Is like, hey, if your heart is set on price, I mean, we could pick one of the 4, but if you're open to being a little more flexible, we could pick any of the 3-4 that we're offering. And you just got to be flexible, and you got to have different business plans in what you're trying to do. So I do want to ask you guys, how are you finding this market? Is it tough? Is it sellers are still difficult to work with? How are you guys seeing the market right now?
Me to go?
Yeah, Will, if you don't mind, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it is a bit tough because I don't think that the gap has been bridged yet between buyers and sellers for what, a reasonable cap rate on a property is at these interest rates. And sellers have been used to getting, the cream of the crop for the past couple of
We
years.
created
And
that ourselves, by the way, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, I mean, buyers were like,
low
debt
rates,
is
and yeah, that's right.
so we'll pay whatever you want and we're going to be all right. I do think that there's going to be a lot of people who bought in the past couple of years before the interest rate spikes who loans are going to be coming due, and they're going to be in a really tough spot because they weren't operating strongly, and they didn't have to be when debt was cheap, but now it's going to be really tough to refinance, or they had floating rate debt and they're really screwed. So there's going to be some opportunities to buy within that market. But as far as the smaller multifamily market, for myself personally, looking at some creative seller finance options, I like the strategy of definitely throwing out more than one offer and have them be different types of offer. But the one that I like to go with the most, and what I would prefer a seller to accept, would be I'll give you the purchase price if you give me the terms, because my whole strategy is buy and hold forever. So I'm not as worried about the purchase price if I'm comfortable with the cash flow.
That's right. I love the fact that you just said that, right? It's because real estate is so like multifaceted, right? To your point, a couple of years ago, you could do apartment flipping. That's what I call it, right? I mean, you could buy at any price and just wait 6 months, don't do anything to it, and you could sell it for a great gain, right? So that was one business model. But now I do feel like we're back to a world where operations matters. So if you've got a good property, solid property that you could weather the storm through these economic uncertainties, and coming out on the other side, I feel like you're a lot better for it than just kind of being able to like flip every 3 to 6 months. And investors, they'll definitely like seeing some safety in their capital as well. Davi, any thoughts on your end? I know you're kind of bigger on the short-term rental stuff. Anything that you're kind of looking at or you're wanting to see in this market?
I'm not the best person for this question because my drive for the next year or two is just building this machine that's going to generate cash that
Yeah.
we're going to put in real estate. So I don't have a great pulse on the market. So yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. It's real estate. You've got different ways to make money, right? You got short-term rental, you got midterm. There's obviously apartments. just so many different ways to make money with real estate, and the added benefits are taxes and things like that. So it's pretty cool. You guys are awesome, man. Like, just super inspiring. I just love talking to younger folks like yourselves, not just younger in age, but also in their careers. Just kind of comparing notes. I feel like I kind of learned a lot from you guys and inspired for sure. And I can't wait for our listeners to kind of hear this episode. And I do want to get one last question for you guys. How do my listeners how do they get in touch with you? Is there a best way to reach out to you guys? Email, Instagram, TikTok? I don't know what we're using these days, but just anything you guys want to put out there.
Yeah, if you're a listener and you want to connect, or you're a physician and you're not enjoying your career, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name's Davi Gazelle, and we'd be happy to help you. So yeah, LinkedIn's the best place.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's definitely my go-to source for professional social media. So that's William Lebovic, and definitely would be happy to talk real estate with anybody who's interested in talking to me. So yeah.
That's amazing. When's the next purchase coming? You guys have one in the pipeline?
This year, that's the goal. I'm going to stabilize this property in the next 2 months, and I'm going back out into the market.
Dude, that's amazing. I can't wait to see the next ones for sure. You guys are awesome, like rock stars in my world. Just keep at it, and obviously let us know if anything you need help with. So appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you, Sam. This was
All
awesome.
right, guys. Yeah,
Thanks
of
so
course.
much. Been a blast.
Yeah, talk to you guys soon.
Cool.